Tonight, we're going to use the Winco combination sharpening stone to profile a knife. It's going to be fun. I'm excited. But before we begin, let's talk about the reasons you want to profile your knife. If you have an older knife, for instance, and you have some dings in the blade, you dropped it a couple times, and no matter how much you sharpen it or you try and hone it, you can't get those dings out. The second reason, say you've had a knife and you've sharpened it for a while, over and over and over, and yet it doesn't seem to cut as well as it used to. And third, this being the most common one, you bought a new knife, and cheaper new knives tend to be profiled at a really wide angle. Now this sharpening stone is a great way to solve all of those problems. You may already know getting a fine edge on a knife happens in 3 stages. First, profiling. Second, sharpening. And third, honing. Tonight we're just going to be focusing on profiling. Profiling that bevel. Now what that means is we're going to take our starting point. This is what our knife looks like at the beginning. You can see the blue line over here. This angle, it's a 25-degree angle on each side. It does not cut very well. We're going to go in and we are going to remove everything up to the red dotted line. That means we're going to slide the knife on the stone back and forth at a 15-degree angle until all this material here, all of this is gone. And we're going to end up with this. This is going to be cutting much better. These are the materials you're going to need. First of all, your Winco sharpening stone. You will need then a shop towel or some kind of rag to set the stone down on. We'll need a piece of paper for later to test out our knife. We will need some water. We will need a permanent marker. I'm going to show you what you can do with this in a little bit. And we're going to need either another sharpening stone or some kind of flat object that we're going to use to level this stone. And of course, we're going to need our knife. Now I'm going to go and soak this stone for 5 minutes in the sink, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, the stone has soaked for 5 minutes. It absorbed all this water and now we are ready to begin. The first step is going to be to level our stone. For this part I'm going to use another sharpening stone. This is a smaller, cheaper stone that I got at Home Depot for just under $3. You can really use any hard, flat object. It just has to be perfectly flat. What we're going to do is we're going to set the stone down. We're just going to run back and forth. And what we're looking for is to make sure that the surface is nice and flat. I'm going to toss a little bit more water in there. And we're going to look at the slurry that forms. And make sure that forms evenly. That tells us that the stone is flat. And it looks perfect. I think we're ready to begin. Now we're going to take our knife. Remember that permanent marker? This is a nice little trick that I like to use. We're going to take our permanent marker and we are going to mark the edge on the knife. And this is going to be our guide as we go through and we profile the knife. We're going to know how much progress we're making. All I'm doing is I'm running this permanent marker right along the edge. I just want to cover the existing bevel right now. And this is going to be very useful as we start working with it. I'm just blowing on it to dry it off a little bit. And then I'm going to show you the technique for using the stone. And as we work with our stone, we're just going to want to throw water on it every once in a while. The water, it helps the knife go over the stone a little bit smoother. And yes, you can use these stones dry, but keep in mind silicon carbide is a very abrasive material. It's very aggressive on a surface. And just wetting the stone, it makes it a little bit less so. You don't want to remove material too quickly from the knife. It's actually an advantage if the stone removes the material a little slower because it makes it more forgiving. So if you make a mistake, you go in at the wrong angle, it doesn't destroy your blade. Now remember, our goal is to get this down to a 30-degree bevel, which means 15 degrees on each side. So we're going to aim for about 15 degrees on each side, and this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be about this much. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our fingers, we're going to place them right on top of the blade here. Can you see? Perfect. And what we're going to do is we're going to slide this forward all the way to the end. Now watch the movement, and we're going to slide it back. It's okay to go slowly. Also notice I'm not trying to do anything with the tip of the knife yet. I'm going to show you how to work with that one in a second. I'm just going to press down gently, go to the end of the stone and come right back. Gently to the end of the stone and right back. And I'm going to repeat this over and over and over. Checking maybe about every 10 swipes or so, I'm going to check the back of the knife. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my napkin here, wipe this off. Oh, now we can see why we want to mark it. We can see that we still have a little bit of marker here all the way at the bottom. It's an indicator of how we're cutting the material away. When the marker is completely gone, that tells you that you've finished. Now of course we're going to need to do the other side as well. I've shown you one side, but we have to keep working on the other side. So we're going to toss in a little bit of water. And just as before, I'm going to put my fingers down on the blade. I'm just going to slide it forward, then I'm sliding it back. Sliding it forward, slide back. I felt a little bit of resistance there, so that's why we're just going to throw more water. If the stone moves, that means you're pressing down too hard. You just want to be very gentle with it. We're just going to repeat this motion. And as we swipe, notice the pattern I'm using. I'm kind of going at a diagonal to the stone. We want to use the whole surface of this stone. We just want to use it across the board, because that way we can make sure the stone wears evenly. We don't want the stone to wear unevenly, because then that could affect the pattern we get in our blade. So that's how we work with the flat sections of the blade. And we have quite a few more swipes to do, but before I turn the camera off and finish that up, I'll show you how to work with the curved section. And in a little bit you're going to be able to combine both of these, but first let's do them separately. Now the tip is a little bit trickier than the rest of the blade because of this curve here. You're going to need to adjust your wrist position as you slide the knife across the stone. I'm going to show you how this looks like, and then I'm going to explain it. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that the movement of the stone is always perpendicular to the contact point of the blade. In order for me to do that, I need to either move my wrist or move the direction that the knife is going. And I usually do a combination of both. So as you can see, as I'm sliding the knife, I'm moving my wrist and angling it toward me more, so that the knife is always, it's almost as if it's always cutting into the stone at that 15-degree angle. I'm also lifting my hand a little bit to adjust for the change in direction. And I switch over to the other side and I do the same. And it's tricky to get just right. It takes some practice, and you can see that even I'm not getting it 100% perfectly. But that's perfectly fine, because the stone is a very forgiving way to profile knives. So if you don't get it just right, but you do it enough times, it kind of balances out and it'll turn out okay. Now with a little bit of practice, you're going to be able to combine this into one motion. I'm just going to wet the stone a little bit for this one. Just like that. And of course make sure to do the other side. So this knife is getting pretty close. If you look at it, I'll show you in a second with the marks and what is wiped off, you can see that our permanent marker is completely gone and the edge looks pretty uniform throughout with the exception of over here. So we have a little bit more work to do over here and then afterwards we'll be finished. Welcome back. We are all done and it looks great. I spent about 5 more minutes on the stone with this knife and it went much quicker than I thought it would. As you can see, our profile looks just so much better now. Look at this. It's even throughout, nice and consistent. The other side as well. This is going to be cutting so much better. Now as I mentioned, there's 2 more steps in getting a nice edge on this knife. I'll need to sharpen it a little bit further using something with a finer grain. And then I'll need to hone it. But you can see that already, look at this. Already we can shave paper with it. It's a big step up. This is 1,000,000 times better than it was when I got it out of the box. A big improvement. Now there are faster ways to profile a knife. A diamond sharpener, it'll shave away metal really, really fast. But the reason I like to use the stone is that's more forgiving. If you use something like a diamond sharpener, that's going to take away metal so fast, it's going to be easy to make a mistake. Similar with a bench grinder. You can profile a knife with a bench grinder. But if your knife slips, you'll ruin the knife. I've done it. I've destroyed knives on a bench grinder before. I don't recommend it. This stone, however, it does take a little bit more time. But it's affordable and it's forgiving. And it's just so easy to do it right. I hope this video was helpful. And please let me know if you have questions. I'll do my best to answer them.